"500 years ago, there were people on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, but neither knew about the other. On the western side, our side, the people had reddish-brown skins and lived in huts or wigwams. On the eastern side, in Europe, the people were white-skinned. They had learned how to build houses and large sailing ships, but they still didn't know much about the rest of the world.
So we set out to discover what people know about Christopher Columbus. We interviewed 9 volunteers of varying ages, genders, and occupations in an attempt to better understand misconceptions in history.
Well, he's known for quote-unquote discovering America, but he didn't actually discover it. He just
figuring out the world was flat, or not flat, but round.
Okay, I know he's an explorer. I know that he came over in 1492 with 3 ships.
Okay.
And discovered America. And that we're taught a lot of false things about him.
The anniversary of that day in 1492, when Columbus first sighted the land of the New World.
Well, it was the day that he supposedly supposedly discovered America.
Okay.
Celebrating Italians, like the Italian heritage of Christopher Columbus.
I don't know. Not celebrating something that we shouldn't be.
Do you know what? I think the world isn't flat at all. I think it's round like a ball.
I think there was a mutiny on one of them. He ended up having to go back. He got sick or hurt on one of them and had to go back. And then the third one, he ended up dying. And they kind of just gave up.
Yeah.
I only know about the famous one. And the one where 1492 he took Princess Santa Maria from Spain or wherever over to the Americas.
We went on 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. It was funded by Spain because the Italian merchants wouldn't fund them. So he went to Spain and they funded his trips.
In fact, most of them believed the earth was flat.
Because everybody thought the world was flat.
Sea monsters, I believe. They thought they were going to fall off the world or get eaten by sea monsters.
I know that there was some issues about traveling around Africa, but I'm not really sure if that was him.
People were afraid that he was going to fall off the end of the world.
He's crazy.
I think he was perceived as a fraud. I think or crazy. That's why his own country wouldn't fund him and he had to go to Spain.
It's like just a normal trader, merchant, like that. But then when he found America, he was like this great hero or something.
I'm not really sure. I know the people where he landed weren't fond of him.
I'm sure people kind of thought he was crazy.
Like people thought, oh my gosh, you're some great, fantastic, super duper explorer. Let's go send you on more missions. Let's go, here's some money.
Do you think he was famous?
Yes.
What I learned in elementary school was different than what I learned in high school, I guess. In high school I had this one teacher who she liked to show the underside of all the stories that we were taught. So she's kind of the one who said, he's not all he's cracked up to be.
Failed on his main mission, but during that failure discovered a new land that nobody knew about. So,
As a normal guy who stumbled upon a new land and got famous for something he didn't really try to do.
In some ways very good, in some ways not as good. He did kill a lot of natives.
It's frustrating because the real stories have so much more to them.
Sometimes I feel like it makes students' jobs harder.
I don't like it because then it kind of requires you to go home and look it up again.
There are a lot of versions of the truth.
But what the problem is, they don't tell you even that there's more than one side to the information. And it is, you walk away being left with some, to me at least, you discover how much you didn't learn.
A little like I don't really want to celebrate it because he wasn't a very nice guy.
You feel a little bit duped.
A little uncomfortable and that I don't know a lot about Christopher Columbus.
I think a lot of people learned it when they were in second grade-ish, and a lot of the stories to make them kid-friendly, just to make it simple, we're like, Columbus discovered America.
Also, as just a country, we tend to wash over our history. We look at the positive, not the negative.
It's not the popular version. It's not the sailing the ocean blue in 1492 version. So it's more real, and people would rather have the ideal than sometimes.
True, and when I taught, I remember my 8th graders, I told them Columbus never set foot on mainland America, and they were very annoyed with me.
There was a big market for sex slaves at the time, and 9 and 10-year-old girls were the ones who were really wanted. So he ran.
Actually, no one at that time period really thought the Earth was flat. They just were afraid that it was going to cost too much money and they were going to get nothing out of it.
Oh, the world was flat, and that he would sail off the end of the world and like fall into nothingness.
Yeah, but that's not true. People didn't think that.
At the beginning of this process, we originally intended to explore reactions to misconceptions in history using Christopher Columbus as context, but through our various interactions, we discovered that in many cases, teachers now choose not to teach about Christopher Columbus, nor is it required in the Common Core or the GLICs. The next question then is, are children nowadays solely being taught about Christopher Columbus from storybooks, parents, and media, which we found have their own misconceptions, or are they not being taught about him at all? There are so many layers to history that when the events are simplified, there are bound to be misconceptions.
Do you guys know who Christopher Columbus is?
No.
No? Have you heard that name before?
No.
No? So your teachers haven't talked about it at all?
No.
Okay. Do you guys know there's a holiday called Columbus Day?